Come on in to Margaret McSweeney's Kitchen for Kitchen Chat, where every week you'll meet chefs, cookbook authors, foodies, gourmets, and just plain people who love to eat. And along with laughter, chat, recipes, and stories about food, you'll sometimes also hear words of inspiration, love, and hope. As Margaret always says, Kitchen Chat is food for the senses and food for the soul. So grab a cup of coffee, put your feet up on a comfy chair, and get ready to spend a little time with Margaret and her friends.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kitchen Chat. This is your host, Margaret McSweeney, and I am just delighted you're joining me back here in my kitchen today. And it will be really fun with the two guests today, the proprietors of Beurre, that is French butter spelled Beurre, and it's all about ghee, and I can't wait to learn about ghee and how these two sisters, Madeline and Kelly, entrepreneurs, created this wonderful new business in the food industry. So without further ado, Kelly and Madeline, welcome to Kitchen Chat.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, and congratulations on your new business, Beurre, and I can't wait to hear about the actual business and how that started. But if we could first just jump into the product, and that is ghee. What is ghee? Ghee, right? That's how you spell it?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Tell me about ghee.
Well, this is Kelly. Ghee is basically well known here in America as clarified butter. And basically what it is a burning off of the dairy or the dairy fat in butter until you get this rich, golden, very unctuous oil that has a higher burning tolerance than, say, our regular dairy-based butter.
And so I guess when you say a higher burning tolerance, does that mean like if you're doing stir fry or some kind of dish or even chicken, if you have chicken in the pan, that it won't burn as much as if you were using butter, if you were to substitute ghee?
Correct. Yes, correct. So, for example, clarified butter or ghee has a higher smoking point, burning point, which is like about 485 Fahrenheit to, I think it's like 252 Celsius. Then, like, for example, butter, which only goes up to 325, 375 Fahrenheit, 163, 180-ish Celsius. So, you know, ghee, clarified butter, is wonderful for sautéing. Whereas with dairy-based butters, you have to complement it with, say, something like olive oil or a canola or something so that it can get to a higher smoke point, burning point, to be able to also cook something longer in a pot or pan.
And Kelly, ghee is still a dairy product then, is that right? So
yes.
It's just to clarify, it's just where the dairy has been cooked out of it, but it's still based on dairy. Okay, so it's not like a fake milk product or anything.
No.
Okay.
No.
No fake cows. Okay.
No.
Great.
It is considered vegetarian versus because the dairy has been burned off.
Okay.
So it's not considered vegan because, well, butter comes from cows, but it is considered vegetarian.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, that's great. But it is still a butter, and it's just clarified butter, and they call it ghee. I wonder how did they start calling it ghee? What was the...
Well, there's the difference between clarified butter and ghee is that ghee originated in the Indian Asian culture, and it's more of a they use it with rituals and with their cuisines. But clarified is more French. The French use it to be able to cook with butter with the higher temperatures and whatever, you know. So that's the difference between the classification of clarified versus ghee.
And if I could expound on that, clarified ghee is a class of clarified butter. So you do see it in India and South Asian cooking, and Mal's correct when religious events and things are centered around ghee. So, like for example, Hindus use ghee because one of their religious symbols is a cow. So it just kind of all comes about. Yeah. So ghee, it can be classified as a class of clarified butter.
Okay, so we won't go off in terms of all of the different uses for traditional ceremonies, but rather what happens in the kitchen with ghee. So this will be fun. And your products of ghee. So you were inspired, Kelly, in terms of, hey, I like ghee. I mean, did you start cooking with ghee yourself, and that's where you discovered, hey, this is a really fun product to cook with, and then you just started experimenting with different flavors, or what was the impetus or the inspiration for your product?
Actually, when Malin brought about the idea, I wanted to do something different. And to be quite honest, I was looking at one of a food show, to be quite honest, and they used and spoke about ghee and clarified butter and all the different types of ways to cook with it, and then how it brought about this deep and rich taste to meals. So even before Malin had brought it up, I had thought about it myself, and then after she brought it about, I purchased some, and I was like, okay, what can I do with this? How can I use it? Other than what I saw on TV, and I cooked with it with just making scrambled eggs, and I tasted how so much more it tasted better than just cooking with regular dairy butter, that I said, I have to use this for this concept, because plus this allows you to utilize the Beurre products in regular everyday cooking, whereas compound butters traditionally aren't. They're like in a complement to a meal,
And if we can kind of go back just to the basics of ghee. I've never seen ghee. I mean, is it oil, or is it like a stick of butter, but you call it a stick of ghee, or is it like a cream cheese? I mean, what does it look like?
It is a clear version of butter. Actually, it's more golden in color. So when it solidifies, it has more of a goldenly looking color, and it can be kept at room temperature, whereas certain dairy butters that you can't. And then when it's liquid form, it's clear, purely clear. This pure, beautiful oil that's just clear.
Yeah, and in certain stores, you don't find it in the freezers, the refrigerated section. You find it on the shelf.
Okay, right. And that is a real attraction, I think, for home chefs, is you don't have, at least for me, you don't have to squeeze yet another thing into your refrigerator. It can be stored at room temperature in your pantry.
Right. Correct.
Whether it's in the oil form or the liquid form, or whether it's in a solidified form.
Right. Right.
Okay, so that definitely adds a convenience factor to that. So what inspired you, I guess, in terms of creating products? If you could share with us a little bit about how you have turned ghee into some really delicious product ideas.
Well, I was watching one of my favorite shows, Shark Tank, and a lady had made a lot of money on a simple idea of creating fudge, and I was thinking about it, what could we do to start our own business to, either supplement our income or become our business. And, I thought about it, and I was like, compound butters. And Kelly, then I brought the idea to Kelly, and the next thing you know, she had a few recipes, and she was telling me, well, why don't we use clarified butter or ghee versus regular butter that would make us different from the rest. even though there are not a lot of companies that have compound butters. But this would even make us more unique, more artisan.
Yes.
And next thing you know, we were coming up with flavors, and we have 7 different flavors.
And good. And I can't wait to talk and hear. I guess, Kelly, if you could kind of share with our listeners some of the delicious flavors that you offer. And then, Madeline, I would love to hear from your perspective about how you start up a small business in the food industry these days. And it was so exciting. I recently had spoken with Rachel Hofstetter and hope to have her on a kitchen chat soon. She was the author of Cooking Up a Business, Lessons from Food Lovers Who Turn Their Passion into a Career, and how you can too. And that might tie in very nicely in terms of what tips you can offer those new food entrepreneurs as well. But first, let's get back to the butter. So Kelly, if you could share with us some of your creations and what inspired your experimentation with different flavors and different ingredients to add to the ghee, so you ultimately created a product.
Well, for example, we first have lavender lemon butter, and I came about with that because I was on a French journey at that time, trying to cook very French-wise, and I also saw some recipes that used lavender, and I thought, I can do this. I can make this into something really good. So what I did was I just got some lavender and I got some lemon, and I mixed it up with the butter and some other little ingredients, and I first tried it on roasted chicken, which was phenomenal. So there we go. We put it right there in the shelf. I'm like, that's the one. That's one of them. And then one of the other flavors is called balsamic olive. We use Sicilian and Kalamata olives with a beautiful aged balsamic, and trying that on, like, for example, seared halibut or roasted vegetables. It was another one that I just had to use. It's very Mediterranean. And then we do have a vanilla bean butter, which does have a dairy brought back into it, but not the dairy you would think. And I use that on lobster tails. It's just so delicious. It goes with the sweet crustaceans like lobster, crabs, scallops, so on and so forth.
Wow.
Then we have cranberry orange brandy butter. This came from an inspiration of my dad. He loves dried cranberries, and I said, well, I got to do something for him, And he also loves brandy. Who doesn't? So I came up with the idea of putting these together, and also at the time we were going into the holidays, so I was like, oh yeah, we got to do something like this for turkey or stuffings, or my mom puts them in waffles. There's no limit to it.
Yeah, I was about to say, a lot of these seem that you could do either savory or sweet with the vanilla bean. Can the vanilla bean be a nice addition to, a pie or a cake that you're making? Okay, so
definitely.
I guess my question too is, I know you can use these for sautés. That's great, or marinating or whatever you do to it, but what about, can you use it as a substitute for butter in, baking some of the sweets, the pie?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, for example, I make a lavender lemon butter pound cake, which the original menu recipe called for just regular butter. And I was like, I'm just going to put the lavender lemon. And I also put the vanilla bean butter in that cake as well, for the vanilla extract that it calls for. For example, another thing that I did was, and we have these recipes on our website, the vanilla bean butter I use for, they call my chocolate chip cookies famous in my in my own mind, but my famous vanilla bean butter chocolate chip cookies now, So you can use a lot of these for savories and sweets. That's why I love these butters, because they're so diverse. Again, the lavender lemon can be used for roasted chicken, roasted vegetables, on fish, or then you can make it into a pound cake. Or I'm going to be making up a recipe called lavender lemon bars. So instead of lemon bars, they're lavender lemon bars.
That is great. You know what? And I've never cooked with lavender. In full disclosure, I'm not a very good cook. So I just have a basic question about lavender. So, for example, I have a lovely fragrant lavender bush or plant or whatever you call it in my sunroom. So would I just go and just pick up a little bit of the bloom or something, or how do you cook with lavender?
Well, my recommendation is to always get a nice lavender bundle from a reputable place that sells lavender specifically for cooking. You can find a lot of places that do this. They're online as well. I have, the place I go to is reputable, and I found it right in the cooking section of that individual place. Okay. The trick with lavender, though, it can be so overwhelming. So my recommendation to the new cook or the trepidatious cook is to go and find Herbe de Provence, which usually contains various herbs plus lavender, and kind of experiment with it. That's how I started cooking with lavender, because, like I said, I was like, wait a minute, this could be so overwhelming. I did the mistake by buying it by itself, and then a friend of mine said, do Herbe de Provence and try it that way, and then slowly, gradually get more comfortable with it. Okay,
because as we chat, I'm actually holding in my hand a little sprig of lavender, and it looks like a little flower. I did not realize that lavender blooms. So there's this beautiful little kind of white, purpley lavender-like bloom on top of the sprig. So in other words, what you're saying is I can't go pluck that from the little lavender display. You need to really go to a food market to use it. Yeah. Okay.
Because usually, the individuals, if you pick it on your own, you can't use the flowering bud of it. You only use the bud of the lavender. And there's only certain lavenders that you can use. I use the ones for Provence, of course, because they're fragrant, but they have a very light and gentle smell to them. So it's good for cooking. And also, it's just always good to go, somewhere that instead of going in your backyard, you never know what's going on back there.
That's true. That's true. We have a lot of critters and coyotes in the woods. So, this is great. I love these flavors that you have created. And you'd mentioned that you have 7. So these are the first 4, the lavender lemon, balsamic olive, vanilla bean butter, a cranberry orange brandy, and what are the other 3? Do you have other 3s as well?
We have a fig pistachio tarragon butter. This is made with black mission figs and pistachios and tarragon. This was another one that I kind of thought of my dad for, because he loves dried fruit and he loves nuts. So when first making this, I was like, oh, he's going to adore this. But then now I was like, it needs a little bit something more. So we brought in the tarragon so it can have more of a licorice back note taste for it. And I found that a friend of mine who's a vegetarian, he just puts it on bread. I mean, that's it. That's all he eats. It's just like that. But we've also put it in stuffing. We put it on turkey breast. I've made a pizza flatbread with the tarragon butter as the sauce, with arugula and prosciutto. It's to die for. And then I've also made fig noodles. Malin has used it as a instead with the Rice Krispies. She substituted that butter and put this in it.
Oh, for Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah.
Any recipe that calls for an oil or butter, you could substitute one of our flavored butters in there.
That sounds delicious. So there are 2 other additional flavors besides the fake pistachio fig. Yeah.
There's parsley parmesan butter, which we use in any kind of pasta or on steak itself. And then we have what we call a Creole butter. Malin and I, our family is Creole from New Orleans, and so we had to do a homage to them. And Malin makes a great, I like to call it a 30-minute gumbo with it. And I use it for anything and everything, in pasta, in red beans and rice, on steaks, anything you can think of, you can use these butters for.
That just sounds so delicious and so versatile as well. And listeners, let me just give you a link, and I will provide a link online with the podcast, but it's beurreami.com, BEURREAMI.com. So I guess what that means, friendly butter or butter friend?
Butter friend, yeah.
And quick question, are there any, before we jump into the business side, and Madeline, I'm so excited to hear about how, you got the business side of it moving forward, but real quickly, is there a health benefit in terms of less cholesterol or something like that with ghee? I don't know. Is that something to consider too?
Actually, yes, there is. And I have a piece of note here that has the information on it, and I want to make sure I give you the correct information.
Oh, sure.
But basically, ghee has, since it's no dairy fat, the cholesterol and things like that are very, it's low in cholesterol. Everything has cholesterol, but it's lower than usual. And then it helps with, giving you that buttery taste, but then, you don't have to deal with, fat content, so it's less fat in it.
And I wonder, for those who are lactose intolerant, is that another benefit where it is butter-based, but the dairy has kind of been removed from it through a process? I wonder if it becomes lactose-free through that.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not quite sure, but I could assume so.
So maybe diners who have, or maybe since it's less lactose, that can become more palatable for those who are on a restricted diet. But I love that it does come from butter, from a dairy product, a milk product in and of itself. It's not any kind of, manufactured elsewhere. It is real, but it is just clarify. Yes. Oh, that's
excellent. Actually, looking at my notes, when I was researching this, I went to a web page called Dr. Gourmet, and he speaks about this and how he had a friend who was intolerant, and that this actually was a better option for her because you do get that taste of butter, and you don't miss out on that taste, but you don't have the issues with the lactose and everything. Yeah, because because the dairy part is removed.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense, and yet you still maintain the taste, but yeah, that is so fabulous. And Kitchen Chat listeners, I am so excited to share with you that Kelly and Madeline have offered to provide a sample pack of these delicious ghee products to a lucky winner. So I will be providing details on the Facebook page, Kitchen Chat Facebook, all one word, and also on the podcast as well as my blog site, kitchenchat.info. So things are happening in the kitchen, and I'm so excited with this sample pack. So thank you, both Kelly and Madeline, for this wonderful Kitchen Chat Pantry giveaway.
You're welcome.
Yes, to a lucky listener out there. Well, and I'm so excited too, listeners, you will be able to access the delicious recipes as well that are on the website too, which are just a great addition to that, and it has more information about the products and all of that as well, and how to reach out to them on beurreami.com. So this has been so much fun learning about the products and the food side of it. And Madeline, if you could just briefly share with our listeners, how you got up the courage and the finances and what all was involved in launching a new business in the food industry, because that's a big step.
Yeah. Well, the first thing was getting a business license, and then working up a marketing plan, a business plan, coming up with what our statement, our business statement is, and mainly it's to help the average cook or the budding chef to assist them with making gourmet meals without a lot of time and effort, just by adding the butters in. And then going out, and we had to get, insurance for the business, and we had to both become licensed food handlers.
Okay.
And
so did you have to go to a cooking school for that, or how do you become a licensed food handler?
You can take a test. Well, you take a class and a test, and it's all online. And then once you pass, they give you your license.
Okay.
And
I'm just curious. Do you have to you don't have to cook something for the license?
No.
Well, okay.
No. It's mainly all about food handling, what not to do, and then you, like I said, you take a tutorial, and once the tutorial's over, you take a test.
Okay.
And then you become licensed, and it's how to store foods, temperatures, how to clean, how to wash your area, how not to cross-contaminate your
and things that any home chef would do as well. So it's a lot of common sense things.
It's a lot of common sense and basic cleaning, food prep. Yeah.
Exactly. So in starting it up, just to kind of frame this for our listeners, so there's definitely a lot of paperwork, a lot of compliance, different licenses to start up, and really starting with a marketing plan. And in doing that, did you find people in the community, other business leaders, kind of coming behind you? And for funding, did you start a Kickstart campaign or
yes, we did.
Yes, we did. Okay, great. Yes. And how is that going? And because for others considering starting up one of those, is it an easy thing to do? And
it was an easy thing to do, but you have to be able to market and advertise your Kickstart. Make sure you have a large base of people that will go ahead and then help you spread the word to get your mission or your pledge out there, so that not only are you tapping in on your family and friends, but then they're going to send it out to their friends and their families or people they know that would invest and would help you grow your business.
Yes, and that is an important thing in the connecting social media and all of that, and
Facebook, Twitter,
yes,
Pinterest,
and because there really is, and it's so interesting too, Madeline, that in Rachel Hofstadter's Cooking Up a Business, one of the chapters is about the genius financial model, for someone looking to become a food entrepreneur, and about the rise of competition and a new model, and using Kickstarter, and how Kickstarter has really helped different businesses take off. So it's exciting to hear that you're part of the cutting edge of this new financial model, and launching new businesses within the food industry. So what do you think the biggest takeaway lesson has been for you in terms of, okay, you made the decision as two sisters, which I love, to start a new family food business. What has been, I guess, the greatest lesson you can share with the listeners? And then what do you feel that it took to just bump you to that next step, to have the courage to start a business?
Well, I mean, Kelly and I we've always worked very hard for other folks. So we figured if we could work that hard for somebody else, then we could work that hard for ourselves. And it's mainly just having an idea that you truly are passionate about, that you are proud, and that that you're willing to work very hard at, and then just keep moving forward. There's going to be a lot of challenges trying to get your name out there, trying to get your brand growing, to grow, trying to get financing, trying to get your product into the marketplace or in the out to the public to be sold to the public. There are a lot of obstacles. It's a lot of hard work. But if you have that passion and that drive, then you're going to, hopefully overcome those. We've had some good things, and then we've had some bumps in the road. Right. But one thing we had is that drive to keep moving forward.
Yes, because you have a great product. And just to kind of give a framework.
Great product.
Yes, which is key. Build it and they will come.
Right.
What about, how many years has this taken? How long has Beurre Ami kind of been in creation and producing the product?
We started early 2013, and pretty much all last year was just getting the product, tweaking it, getting our packaging, getting our logo, getting all the little, getting our licenses, getting all the startup stuff going. Right now, we're moving on advertising our product, getting it to the markets, getting it to the public. We're focusing more on the selling and the building our brand and advertising of our product this year. That's our goal for this year.
Great. So. Well, it's just so exciting to be speaking with you both at kind of at the beginning stage. I mean, it's a young business that is already taking off and should be an encouragement to those listeners, who are considering taking that step and what all is involved and everything. And you've created a delicious product. So it's going to be fun to follow the growth of Beurre Ami, and maybe we'll see you guys on Shark Tank or something as well in the near future. That's going to be exciting to see too. And so I guess part of this as well is you have to source the raw materials, and in this case, the ghee. So do you actually make your own ghee, or do you source the ghee, which has already been clarified?
Actually, we source it out. We use a very good brand of ghee clarified butter that I researched online. There's not many who do it, believe it or not, and I was lucky to find one, a distributor that does it, and they do it very well.
Oh, great. And you just have a kitchen where you're creating, and I can imagine all the pots and pans and taste tests and all of that. And any other, Kelly, are there any other flavors that you're working on right now to add to the
family
line? Right.
Yeah, I was we have on the horizon looking at a bacon maple butter.
Ooh, bacon.
A raspberry cream cheese butter. I know you're probably like, what?
But good.
These are just ideas coming out, and I have a whole bunch of people who are like, you need to make me this kind of butter. So these are some of the ones that people are throwing at me, and I'm like, okay, we'll try. We'll try and see if we can do that.
Get back into the lab and stir there. But you know what? I am very partial to chocolate. Any kind of chocolate coming up.
Good to know. Good to know. And when we get that in, you'll be the first person to taste it.
I love that. Well, this has just been such a delightful kitchen chat. Kelly and Madeline, thank you, the proprietors and founders of Beurre Ami, and I will provide a link, listeners, beurreami.com, for their delicious, delicious products. And I'm just so delighted that you spent the time today with us.
Well, thank you for having us, Margaret.
Oh, thank you so much. And listeners, thank you. And please, please be in touch with me. I can't wait to hear from you. We have so many ways to connect now via Facebook and the website, kitchenchat.info, and, of course, via the podcast. So lots of fun giveaways coming up with the Kitchen Chat Pantry for this new year. I'm just so excited that you are on this journey with me, listeners. And very soon, in the next few months, I'm going to be attending a fun conference, the International Association of Culinary Professionals. It's going to be here in Chicago, and can't wait to hear about all the wonderful things going on in the food industry and the culinary world, and to share them with you. But during this busy time, and I know it's quite busy as we're working on New Year's resolutions and whatnot, just please remember to take a few moments and savor the day.
Thank you for joining us today. If you're interested in Margaret's books, A Mother's Heart Knows, Pearl Girls, Encountering Grit, Experiencing Grace, and Go Back and Be Happy, please just click on the covers on the webtalkradio.net page in front of you. Margaret would love to connect with you and hear from you, so join her on Twitter, Facebook, her blog, or click on this website to leave a note and share a recipe. Thank you again, and we'll see you here again for a new show next week.